In today's episode, we are at the Lighthouse Shelter in Orillia, talking to Linda Goodall. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 9 of Why Orillia. Today I am joined by my guest Linda Goodall at the Lighthouse Shelter in Orillia. Welcome, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I like to start every interview off with an opportunity for you in your own words to tell me and the audience who you are and what you do.
Well, like you said, my name is Linda Goodall. I am the Executive Director of the Lighthouse Soup Kitchen Shelter. I have always worked in social organizations. I worked at the Salvation Army in the Community Family Services as a coordinator there. And I came here to the Lighthouse almost 3 years ago now. And I really feel that God placed me here. Like this is where I was meant to be. It's been a challenging job, but it has definitely been rewarding.
It's really nice when you feel that. I'm actually getting goosebumps as you say that because it's so amazing. So many people struggle to find that place and where they're supposed to be. And when you really have that feeling, it allows you to take your job and your mission and what you're doing to the next level.
Absolutely.
So you work at the Lighthouse.
Yep.
What specifically does the Lighthouse do in the city of Orillia?
The Lighthouse is exactly what it says in the names. It's a soup kitchen and a shelter. So we have a shelter for men age 16 and up. So there is no youth shelter in Orillia. So our age used to be 18, but then we actually had it lowered to 16 in order to accommodate that. We've had everyone from a 16-year-old up to an 84-year-old staying at the shelter at the same time. So like I said, we have 14 beds and typically those are full, whether it's winter or summer. It doesn't, people think that in the summer we might, or in the winter might go up, but there's a housing crisis in Orillia. So housing crisis is year round. And so we have the shelters full year round. We also have our soup kitchen, which we serve about 40 to 50 meals every day from 9:30 till 12. Very busy. We serve out of this kitchen. We serve about 25,000 meals a year. Wow. Which is incredible.
It sure is.
People who have come to the Lighthouse look at our small kitchen and our cafe and think it's incredible.
It's very impressive what you guys pump out of here.
And we also work with a lot of community partners. We can't do what we do alone. It takes a whole community. So collaboration with Salvation Army, with John Howard Society, Canadian Mental Health Association.
Right.
It takes a whole community.
It all bundles together into one, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, for somebody who's not incredibly involved in what you guys are doing, it seems like the city can have a perception on homelessness and all of the things around it, and the people who are actually doing it and working, in the places like the Lighthouse are seeing firsthand what's actually going on.
Right.
Do you think the public's perception of homelessness in Orillia is exaggerated or understated? So in other words, do you think people think the problem is better or worse than it actually is?
I think it's actually understated. I think people, as opposed to Toronto, where you'll see those sleeping on the street that are experiencing homelessness. You won't necessarily, sometimes you do in Orillia. There's occasionally you'll see somebody sleeping on the street or on a
It's very rare though.
It's very rare. What you don't see is those sleeping in tents year-round, even in the winter, and those that are couch surfing. So those are still considered experiencing homelessness if they don't have a permanent housing. People don't see it here in small towns Orillia. I read a stat the other day that 25% of all of those experiencing homelessness in Simcoe County are here in Orillia.
Wow.
Which is, it's not a great statistic to have for
not
Orillia,
at all.
right? So, and that's why we want to change that by
Right.
having the shelter to be able to help people get housing, and that's one of the main mandates that we have.
Right. So what is we've seen what the Lighthouse is today, but what does the future have in store for the Lighthouse? What's next?
Well, many people have heard about Building Hope. And Building Hope is exactly what the name says. We're building hope in our community. Currently, there is no homeless shelter for those experiencing homelessness that are women, youth, or families. There is for fleeing abuse. We have people, we've had a woman come here before and even say, do I have to beat myself up and able to get housing?
Wow.
Which is sad,
Very,
right?
yeah.
So we want to change that, and we are going to change that with Building Hope. So Building Hope will be a shelter for men, women, families, and youth. We've partnered with the Canadian Mental Health Association for their Safe Beds program, and the Simcoe Community Services with their Housing First program. So it's going to be what's considered a community services hub. We're going to have lots of services available there. So that's one of the phases. We also have supportive housing. We're going to have 20 units where people can, if they're not quite ready, if they come from the shelter, but they're not quite ready for permanent housing, they might need some life skills, they might need some help with their OW or Ontario Works or Ontario Disability. We'll have a case manager that can help with that. And then the third phase will eventually be affordable housing. So there's three different phases that are going to happen at Building Hope. And like I said, it's a community services hub.
Right.
It's for...
It seems like a much more well-rounded solution.
It is. It's like a gateway to housing is the way I like to explain it. So you get off the street into shelter, and then you can get into the supportive housing, and then eventually into affordable housing that they can be permanent in.
It really strikes me as obviously this Building Hope is a huge community effort. And speaking of the community, I know that, with all of the guests that I've spoken to on Why Orillia, and in my own experience living in Orillia, the community is very willing and open to helping further our cause as a community. So if you could wave a magic wand and everybody in Orillia tomorrow said, I'm willing to help the community in some way or another, what's something that the people of Orillia can actually get up and do that, that's simple and maybe the first step? What's something that they can do right away to help the community?
I think, and it's a simple one word is give. And that can be in so many different aspects. You can give your time volunteering, like you do now for the Lighthouse, volunteering.
I'm the meat guy now.
He's the meat guy now, which is awesome. We celebrate all volunteers, everything from the meat guy up into our chair of our board of directors, which is Glenn Wagner, who is an all-rounded volunteer. But giving time is a really good way. Give financially. We all have so much more than we actually think.
Right.
We have people that show up at our shelter that only have the clothes on their back. Mm-hmm. So if you can give financially, that is one of the ways that you can. Give compassion. Everyone has a story. You and I both have a story.
Right.
Everyone that walks into here has a story, whether it's mental health, addictions, childhood trauma. There's a story behind that. So having that compassion and giving that love and just wrapping them around with supports is one way just to kind of...
Absolutely. I've found in life there's usually two sets of people. There's people who have more money than time.
Yes.
And there's people who have more time than money.
Yep, absolutely.
And whichever one you have more of is the logical thing to give. Yep. And that's the nice thing about giving is you don't have to have lots of money to give, and you don't necessarily have to have lots of time to give.
Exactly.
And that's something that certainly makes it available to everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is a show about Orillia, and you are, an amazing person who's helping an amazing organization, but you're also personally a citizen of Orillia. So why, this is the question that I ask everybody on the show, why Orillia? What in particular is it about Orillia that you love so much?
It's the community. It is absolutely the community. We came here, my husband and I came here about 20 years ago. We kind of came by fluke. I got a job and he got a job, and then we just ended up here. And from the very beginning, it has been the community that has made it what it is. One of the things that I deal with is mental health issues myself, and I have bipolar. Last year I was off work, and I had the support of my family, I had the support of my work. The community wrapped themselves around my family to help them and me. Mm-hmm. And I honestly could not have done it without the support that I had. People that show up here with mental health and addictions, they may not have anyone.
Right.
So having that community that can, again, wrap around is just so important. And I feel that in the community. Another way that I see that is our Coldest Night of the Year event, one of our top 3 fundraisers that we have. It's one of the largest community fundraisers in Orillia.
Right.
We are in the top 5 across Canada, only behind Toronto, Kitchener-Waterloo, Calgary, the big city centers,
Right.
because Orillia gives.
Right.
They give their time, they give their finances, and we want to be even bigger next year. So
Right.
we invite everybody to be part of Coldest Night of the Year.
A huge sign of a community to me is a group of people that will drag you over the finish line, whether you are willing or able to do it
I just
yourself.
got goosebumps from that. That's absolutely a great way to describe Orillia, because Orillia does get behind everyone.
Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about what you guys do here, and most importantly, what you're going to be doing in the future.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to help out the Lighthouse specifically, what is the best way that they can get in contact to get that process going?
So if you want to help out the Lighthouse, you can just email info@orillialighthouse.ca, and it will be directed, whether it's volunteering or donations. We do take donations, clothing, hygiene kits, all of that kind of stuff. And if you're looking for Building Hope, we are more than happy to come into your business or your organization to give a presentation on what Building Hope is and how you can help in that. So you can just email me directly at linda@orillialighthouse.ca, and I would love to connect with you, because we do have a big road ahead of us, and it is a big financial ask for our community, but we know that God is in this, and we know that this will happen.
Absolutely. So the Why Orillia community is one of the strongest communities that I've seen in a long time. The support that we've had for every business so far has been amazing. So I would like to issue a challenge to the Why Orillia community, and in some way, whether it's money, whether it's $1 or $1 million, whether it is a minute or 50 hours a week, whatever you have to give, please get in contact with Linda or anybody at the Lighthouse. I would love to see the Why Orillia community come together to help out this amazing
That
facility.
would be fantastic.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.